Nuh yesterday, we will continue to discuss the rest of his story, inshallah, and complete our lessons from the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. So where did we get up to yesterday? We said that for 950 years, Prophet Nuh, he taught his people, he tried to get all of them to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did most of them believe? No. Only maybe 70 people believed after 950 years of teaching. Right, so a very, very small group of people believed. Now, not only did those non-believers not believe, what they said was, you've been saying for so long that your God, your Lord, He's going to punish us. So send the punishment. Tell Him to come and punish us. Right, they became very arrogant. They became very confident that nothing is going to happen to us. And so then Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, he prays for the punishment. And what does he say? He says that do not leave a single kafir left on this earth. That's why when we listen to the story about Prophet Nuh and about the flood that happened, we say that there was the entire earth covered in water. That there was no one left, because the dua that Prophet Nuh had made is that there will be no kafir left on this earth. And so Prophet Nuh, he starts to build the ship. He gets the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he starts to build the ship. And now this ship, it is actually built, he was building it in Kufa. That's where Prophet Nuh was at that time. He was in Kufa. And they say that the area that he was building the ship is actually where Masjid al-Kufa is now. And so now, when he is asking for the punishment to come, he does it as a dua. He asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, he's not going to command, right? You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a dua. So he asks for the punishment. But there is also a very special way that he asks. He initially starts it by asking for forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because he feels that because he wasn't able to spread the message, it's his shortcoming. And he feels responsible, that it's my fault that I wasn't able to teach all of these people. And so we see that's one thing that we have to take from Prophet Nuh alayhi salam in this, is that a lot of the time we're very, very quick to blame everyone else. We want to blame someone else because of our situation. Something bad happens, we want to blame this person. Something else happens, we want to blame the other person. We never want to say it's our own fault. We never want to acknowledge that it's our own mistake. And so Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, he teaches us in this that he, even though it wasn't his fault, right? He tried 950 years. How long can someone try? But he still tried. And then at the end of it, he said that I have a shortcoming. I am responsible. And so he asks for forgiveness. Then the next thing that he does is that he asks for forgiveness for his parents. So this is now another thing that we have to learn. Right? It's important that when we do dua, when we want something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should ask for other people as well. And it is especially important that we mention our parents. Right? Because how much have they done for us? How important they are. And so even in general, we should be asking for dua for other people, for our dua to be accepted. It is even better if we ask for dua of our parents. We ask for good things for our parents, and then our du'as will also be accepted. And then the third thing that he says in this dua, he asks for forgiveness and he prays for anyone who has entered his home as a believer. Right, so all of his followers who had come into his home and learned from him and believed in him, that was the key factor. Those who had believed in him. He said that he asked for dua for all of these people and asked for all of their forgiveness. And he specifies believers. Why? Because we see that in his house, who was also in his house? His son. We know all of his family obviously, but one of his sons did not believe in him. His wife also came to his house. His wife also did not believe in his message. Right? So if anyone else comes into that house, right, but they are not a believer, then that prayer, it does not apply to them. They are excluded from that prayer. Just because you are the family of the Prophet does not mean necessarily that you get the prayers or any special blessings. Right? And we see that this is the exact same with our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Nare Takbir,
Allahu Akbar.
Nare Risalat,
Ya Rasulullah.
Nare Haidari,
Ya Ali.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
That even if it is a prophet's wife, then she is not guaranteed any security or any protection if she does not have the right beliefs, if she does not have the right actions. Right? And this applies, it's not just for Prophet Nuh, it was for Prophet Lut. We know his wife was also from his enemies. She did not believe in him. And so this applies to all prophets. And so we see that Prophet Muhammad, he also showed this in his actions, that he did not just bring people who were in his family and give them protection. In the Quran, we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursing Abu Lahab, who is from the family of the Prophet. But then we have the Prophet who accepts someone like Salman al-Farsi, who is not from his family, he's not even from the same country, he's from Iran, he's from Persia. And he comes, but he accepts him like he is his own family. And he becomes one of the highest companions of the Prophet. And so we see the Prophet did the same thing. That he puts a very key important aspect, that the person must be a believer. And so Prophet Noah, he does the same thing, he prays. And then after this prayer, as we said, he starts to build this ark. Now Prophet Noah, he's in the middle of a desert. He doesn't have any experience building an ark. And so he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do I actually build this ark? What do I do? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he reassures him. He tells him that you start building it and Jibreel will come down and show you exactly how to build it. And so in this ark, Prophet Nuh is the carpenter and Jibreel, he is the engineer behind this ark. Right? And so he gets the orders, he starts building this ark. And he says that this ark that you are building, it is for the shafaat of those who are your true followers when the flood comes. Anyone who has denied you, who rejects you, who doesn't believe in your message, they will not be able to board this ark. And so now again we take a lesson from here. That for us to get shafaat, yes, it is important that we have the right aqeedah, we have the right faith, but we have to show it in our actions. We are not guaranteed shafaat from the Ahlul Bayt or from the Prophet. We have to show with our actions that we are deserving. If we make small mistakes sometimes, yes, that's okay. We're not infallible, we're not masoom. But we cannot constantly think that I will do whatever I want in this life, and then because I sometimes came to the Fajr, sometimes I listen to a majlis once in a while, that I will then get shafaat. We have to at least try, we have to put our best effort forward, and then in that case, the Ahlul Bayt are also able to help us. Now building this ark, they say it took Prophet Noah, some places they say 100 years, other places they say 160 years. So that long Prophet Noah is building this ark. And so obviously people notice that someone is building this massive ship, this massive ark in the middle of a desert, it's taking 100 years. And so they come and they start making fun of him. They ask him, it's like, did you fail at becoming a prophet? You've now become a carpenter? Or they ask him that, you've made this huge boat. Are you planning on making the water here as well? They tell him that, what are you doing making a ship in a desert? What's the point? They used to ridicule him every day. They used to make fun of him. They used to laugh at him. Prophet Noah, he did not complain. He kept going. Just like what we said in last night's lecture, that Prophet Noah, he would not get embarrassed. Like we have, for example, in our, in Australian society, Western society, sometimes we feel embarrassed about our religion. Sometimes we make sacrifices that we will give this up because I want to fit in a little bit, I don't want to pray on time right at the moment because I'm going to have to pray somewhere out in public, or I'm going to have to ask to, my non-Muslim boss or teacher, whoever it is, that I need to pray. And so we delay until it is already past the time, we pray the next day. Right? And so we should learn from here that we shouldn't be embarrassed of our religion. We keep going. It's much easier than Prophet Noah, I can tell you that. Right? For 100 years, for 160 years, he's being ridiculed about this, and that's after teaching for how long? Hundreds and hundreds of years. Right? And so he builds this boat, and now people are wondering, when is it going to finish? When is the azab going to come? And we see that there was actually already punishments coming for the people of Noah. Why did these small punishments come? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He kept on wanting to give these people a chance. He's building a huge ark. Why is He building an ark? Prophet Noah tells them, this is for my followers, this is for those who want to be saved, for those who believe in me. People don't listen. They don't take that warning. Then He gives them warnings in terms of punishments. For example, rain stops. They still don't listen. Then they say that 40 years before the flood happened, there were no children born in the qawm of Prophet Noah. But they didn't pay attention. They didn't take any of these as warning signs. And so then Prophet Noah, he's building this ark. He's wondering, at the very end, how is he going to finish it? Where are the nails going to come from? The nails, they come from heaven. And we find that we have a hadith that says that there are 5 of the biggest nails in the ark, the most important ones, keeping it all together. They came from heaven, and each of those nails, they had a name of Banjatan. So one of them had Muhammad, then Ali, then Fatima, then Hussain and Hussain. And so we find that it is the Ahlul Bayt, it is the Banjatan who are holding this ark together. When he has built this ark, we know the story that there is a pair of every animal that gets onto the ship. And so he tells the people, all of the believers also, that come onto the ship. Now he calls the animals, he calls the believers, they've all gotten onto this ship. Now suddenly the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it begins. The clouds start to darken. It got so dark at that time, even though it was daytime, it started to look like night. That's how dark the clouds became. Then the rain came pouring. It was a very, very heavy rain. In the Quran, how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe it? He says that they opened the doors of the sky. That is how heavy the rain became. Then he goes on in the Quran to say that the springs in the ground, they started erupting. So now not only is there heavy rain from up top, now there is water coming out of the ground as well. And so as that water begins to collect very, very fast, very, very quickly, the waves, they become as big as mountains. And if we think now, when we have floods, how devastating, how dangerous are these floods? Or we see tsunamis in other parts of the world like Japan and Indonesia, right? Have you seen how much destruction these tsunamis cause? Right? How difficult it is for the people living there. So all of a sudden, in one day, now there are waves as big as the mountains that are causing destruction, that are killing everyone. All of the people who did not believe, all of the kafirs at the time, whoever refused to get onto that boat, they perished. They were killed. And whoever rowed that boat, whoever got onto that boat, whoever was able to accept that message and believed in Prophet Noah, they survived. But even then, they are afraid, right? Because those waves are big. They've never been on a boat before. It was a very scary experience for them. And now, as they are on this boat, they're seeing all of their other people in this town who are drowning and being killed. And then Prophet Noah, he sees his son. He's climbing, he's getting to the top of a mountain. He calls out to his son that come onto the ship and you'll be saved. Does his son listen to him? No. Right, the son, he says that I'm going to climb this mountain. This mountain will save me. Right, how foolish was this? That is the Prophet of Allah. This is his father. He's telling him that come with me, you'll be saved. There's no other way. No one can escape the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yet he chose to ignore. His son was very, very arrogant. Chose to ignore. And in that conversation we find that there was a conversation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Noah. Because Prophet Noah, he expected his wife, he knew that she was definitely an unbeliever. That she would never accept the message. But he had some hope for his son. That maybe at the very end, maybe at some point his son will accept. At some point he will join me, he will be saved. Right? He really wanted his son saved. But as we said earlier on, that just like we said about Prophet Nuh's dua, same thing over here, that just because you are the family's prophet, the family of the prophet, does not mean that you are guaranteed salvation. Does not mean that you are guaranteed protection. You have to show it with your actions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is just. He looks at faith. And so this was the son of a prophet, and yet he perished. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to him? He says that, "O Nuh, he is not from you." Right? He's not from your family. The family, your links with faith. Those who have the same faith as you can often be much, much stronger. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He prioritizes. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Ya Ali. Ya Ali.
And so they're on this ship for 6 months. 6 months, they let the ship go. They have no control over it. Because the waves, there was so much water, as we said, from the sky, from the ground. So much water they could not control. Prophet Nuh, he did dua that wherever Allah takes them to, just keep them safe. And they say that they ended up coming back around to somewhere in Iraq, between Iraq and Syria. But it took them 6 months. So 6 months they were on this ark, and they still held belief. And then after that was a new beginning, because there was no one else except for those who were on the ship. So it was all believers again. And that is when the new beginning of humanity, sometimes that's what it's referred to as, that's when it had started. And so we see from these people, the people of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, that how important it is to get our belief right. Whoever got onto that ship, they were saved. Whoever refused, whoever left it too last minute, whoever didn't want to believe, did not accept the message of the Prophet, they perished. And we see that this is exactly the same for us. Why? We find in our hadith, what does the Prophet refer to his progeny as? What does he call his Ahlul Bayt? He calls them the Ark of Salvation. He compares them to the Ark of Prophet Nuh. Because whoever follows the Ahlul Bayt, they are saved. And whoever does not follow the Ahlul Bayt, they perish. Maybe you will be fine in this world, but in the hereafter, it is the Ahlul Bayt who are going to take you where you want to go. It is the Ahlul Bayt who are going to take you to heaven, to Jannah, to the right destination. But we find that how did the people, even after the Prophet said that these are your saviors, accept them because they will save you? How did the people treat the family of the Prophet? After Karbala we find our fourth Imam, how did they treat him? Once that caravan who had now been defeated, they were full of children, there were women, they were prisoners in that caravan. And they started to go. They were taken from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. And on this way, someone comes up to Imam Sajjad. This was in a very, very, very busy bazaar. And lots of people were talking. One of them, he comes up to Imam Sajjad. He says that you deserve this. This happened to you. Why? Because you went against the government. Imam Sajjad, he talks to that person. He tells him, have you read the Quran? He says, yes, I have read the Quran. He says, have you read Ayat al-Tathir? He says, yes, I have read Ayat al-Tathir. He says, have you read Ayat Mawadda? He says, yes, I have read Ayat Mawadda. He says, have you read Ayat Vilayah? He says, yes, I have read the Ayat of Vilayah. What does this have to do with anything? These are all related to the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. Imam Sajjad, he starts crying. He says that we are the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet that you see in front of you now. We are being taken as prisoners in this bazaar. This person, he suddenly screams. He says, what is your name? He says, my name is Ali. Whose son are you? Hussain. He says, you are Ali ibn al-Hussain. How can this happen to you? He says, what can I do for you? Is there anything I can do for you, O Imam? And the Imam replies, can you please bring some chadar, some veils for our women, and bring a cloth, bring a piece of cloth for me. So he comes, he brings it. The veils, they were once again snatched by those oppressors. The women still did not get any veils. Then he brings the cloth. He asks the Imam, why is it that you want this cloth? And so the Imam, he says, do you see this iron collar that I have put around my neck? In the desert sun, it gets hot. It starts melting my skin. I need something to put between this collar and my skin. How did they treat Imam Sajjad? When he began to go back to Karbala, when he went to visit his father, they say that Jabir, who was a companion of the Prophet, he was also coming. And when the companion, he saw that some caravan is coming towards Karbala, he goes out to meet them. He finds and he sees the leader of this caravan is an old man. He asks, who are you? He says, I am Ali ibn Hussain, I am Sajjad. And so Jabir, he says that what had happened to you? You look like an old man now. He says that this is what they have done to me. From Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Matem Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain,
Hussain,
Hussain.
Hussain. Hussain,
Hussain,
Hussain.
Hussain.
Hussain, 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 Hussain.
Hussain,
Hussain,
Hussain.
Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Hussain, Hussain.
Ya Abbas, Bawafa, Ya Abbas. Salam Ghazi, Salam Ghazi. Wabakatu hai Imam Ghazi.
Salam Ghazi, Salam Ghazi. Wafaqatu hai Imam Ghazi.
जगह जगह है आलम गवाही, दिलों पे तेरी है बादशाही। जगह जगह है आलम गवाही, दिलों पे तेरी है बादशाही। लाखों पे तेरा है नाम गाजी।
वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी। सलाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी। वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी।
तेरे अलम का है रम पे साया, अलम पे साया है पंजतन का।
तेरे अलम पे है हम पे साया, अलम पे साया है पंजतन का।
बुलंद तेरा नाम गाजी।
वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी। सलाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी। वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी।
अलम का जब से हुआ है साया, ज़मीन कल्बो बला पे मौला।
अलम का जब से हुआ है साया, ज़मीन कर्बो बला पे मौला।
तेरा है चलता निज़ाम गाजी।
वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी। सलाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी। वफाकतु है इमाम गाजी। या हुसैन, 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 या हुसैन।
करते हैं मातम हरम अब्बास का।
हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का। करते हैं मातम हरम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का।
आग है ज़ब्ती अलम अब्बास का।
हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का। करते हैं मातम हरम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का।
आइला बेनर हुआ क्या गज़ब, सी लगा मश्क सकीना पे जब। आ गया होठों पे दम अब्बास का।
हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का। करते हैं मातम हरम अब्बास का। सितम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का, करते हैं मातम मरम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का, करते हैं मातम हरम अब्बास का। हो गया मरना सितम अब्बास का।
Hussain, Hussain,
Hussain, Hussain, Hussain, Hussain, Hussain, Hussain, Hussain,
लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले
करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले।
अर्श ज़मीन पर बिछकर घर कर फर्श रज़ा का या बसाले।
करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले। लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले।
अन्ना मुजाहिद वो वली असगर झूले से गिर कर शह की सदा पर जिसने मदद की बंदे हुआ कर तीर सितम को हल्के पहले दर देते पुरसा गुल तरता आपको मोला या बसाले।
करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले। करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले।
कासिम नौशाद दिलबर फरमा जिसकी सजा था धूल का सेहरा जिसको बनाया मौत ने ढूंढा जिसका बदन था रेत में बिखरा घोड़ों से जिसका रौंदा गया था पीत जिला था या बसाले।
करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले। करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले।
शाह का दिल पर शक्ल पैगंबर नाजुक पारा वो अली अकबर गुर्द बने था जिसको हमेशा गरम हवा भी गुजरे न छूकर घर में जमीन पर खून में डूबा जिसका था लाशा या बसाले।
करबला का लीजिए पुरसा या बसाले या बसाले।
Hussain,
घर को लौटा आई है ज़ैनब